Hey, you guys are really watching. So, gotta get the people what they want. I'll give you a story. And I was thinking, because y'all be seeing me comment on y'all stuff. So, I look at videos, basically. And I was wanting to do one that, like, tells a story, something familiar about myself. And I like when y'all give your stories. So, I'm going to do one on my first blind date. It took me a minute to decide, y'all, but I'm gonna start with that one. And I'll start by saying I haven't gone on many dates. I ain't had a whole lot of boyfriends and all this other stuff like that. I have friends. I go out with guys. Some of them, we got close. Uh, but like as far as boyfriends, stuff like that, I'm kind of an asshole a little bit, y'all. So I haven't had a lot. Um, But okay, when I was growing up, my dad lived in ATL. Shout out to ATL, y'all. And I was back and forth between my dad and my mom's house. So my sister moved down there. She's 2 years older than what I am, but at one point she moved down there permanently. And I would go back and forth, as I stated. So she had a girl that she went to school with, that she was cool with, that was like 2 years. No, she was a year younger than me. And but me and her actually started hanging out. I'll call her Sharon. So me and Sharon actually became friends, and she was about the only friend that I had when I would go there. And other than, like, people from church and stuff like that. But uh so one day I'm at her house, and she was dating this dude I'll call Dave. Um, and shout out Sharon, because Dave was a cutie. Um, but she was dating this dude I'll call Dave. So one day I'm at her house, and her and Dave had like the cutest relationship, y'all. And he calls, and they had a date or whatever, and she lets me know. So I was like, okay, I'll find somewhere to go. I'll go home or whatever. Don't worry about me. And she's like, no, you can come. You can come. We'll hook you up with a friend of his. And, we can go on a double date. So I was like, okay, all right, why not? We go. What I say his name? Dave comes with his friend and comes to pick us up from her house. Mind you, let me tell y'all, okay, so my dad bought like the school clothes, but I hadn't been down, school hadn't started yet. This was during the summertime. I hadn't been down there that long. So he was like, he hadn't gotten no school clothes yet. I had come up with like a bag of my stuff, and then whatever raggedy shoes I had been wearing. And you know how it was like in my era, which I ain't gonna tell y'all. We had like, you wear cute little skirt, shoes, stuff like that, cute little tops. You wear Kids or Converse, something like that. Well, this was like a pair of those little Kids Converse pair, something like that. But they were all white, and I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I ain't never been good on shoes, ever. So these shoes were beat up, and dude commences to ragging on my shoes. Like, soon as you meet me, this is, you know what I'm saying? Hey, how you doing? And then he starts jonesing on my shoes, So I'm like, okay. If you read my comments, so I respond accordingly. I get a little attitude, and he keep joking me. So, like, we're in the car at this point. He and I sitting in the back seat, Sharon and Dave, and so me and him in the back seat get ready to come to blows. Like, the argument is getting real, and so that's when just decided that Sharon is like, okay, y'all just don't talk, because I'm like, take me home. You know what I mean? And she's like, y'all just don't talk. You know what I'm saying? We're almost wherever the bowling alley. Well, I can't even remember the name because I was in high school. Uh, but anyway, and so we went to the other side of town where they get down, and to the bowling alley over there. We go, me and him about to fight. We're not talking no more by the time we get there to get out the car. But I still kind of have an attitude. Now, also because this was like originally supposed to be a date, then I wasn't concerned about, you know what I'm saying, the little few dollars that I had in my pocket, which was just enough to get something to eat. But it was established when, he came along that like it was a date, so he was gonna pay for me. But the argument in the car solidified all of that. Like, I'm not bowling, I'm just here. So we get in there, they start bowling. I get me a hot dog, like a chili cheese dog or whatever, with some fries. All my money gone. Now I sit down, I'm eating, and that's when Sharon is like, why don't you bowl? You didn't come out here for nothing. Everybody having a good time. Don't act like that. So I'm like, okay, all right. I get up. I don't have on the bowling shoes. I get up. I'm walking to go bowl. The lady was like, that worked in the bowling alley. She's like, get on a little intercom thing, whatever. And she's saying, you can't bowl, lane, blah, blah. You can't bowl without the shoes. So I'm like, okay, I go to I put the ball down, and after a few minutes or whatever, everybody's like, she ain't looking. Go ahead, at least get one in, at least throw it in one time. So I'm like, no doubt, because I didn't like being told I couldn't bowl anyway. So I get up, I get the bowling ball, and I go up, I roll it. The first one, you only knock a couple of pins down, or I did only knock a couple of pins down. So I go to get the thing again, and when I'm walking back up to the lane, she the lady, right, I don't know how she instantly woof came out the ground. She right there behind me, and she's like, you not gonna bowl in here without the proper shoes on, and da 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 da. And even back then, I had a little smart mouth, so I'm like, don't be walking up on me, and da 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 da. And so she's like, you get out of here now, you get out of here now. And I'm like, make me. And that's when she's like, you know what I mean, little girl, because she was like maybe 30 or 40 or something like that. She's like, little girl, you don't want none of this or something. So I take, and I don't even know, I wasn't even looking. I just took and just threw the bowling ball. And, I'm fussing and she's fussing, and, we're getting a little closer and closer. So that's when Dave and Sharon, grabbed me, because the other boy, he was just silly. I think he just wanted to see a fight. He was, from the time he got in the car, and started joking. You could tell he was just like a lit dude. So he wants to see stuff. He's just laughing, and all this other stuff. Still kind of making little comments, little stabs about my shoes. And then we get in the car and we leave, and I go home. And that was my first blind date. I don't know if I've had any more since. Yes, I did. I had one more since then. And I'll tell y'all about that later. It was crazy too. But that one was much better with no arguing. But anyway, ain't no 2 for 1s.